Hello everyone, my name is Mohammed Afzal. I'm studying in third year RVC. As a part of my cloud computing experiential learning, I will be demonstrating few services provided by Microsoft Azure. So the first service which I'm going to talk about is creating an custom image template. Okay. So to create a custom image template, the steps are as follows. So initially we create a virtual machine, and whatever are the packages which we need for a custom template, we will install those packages in a virtual machine, and then we will capture that virtual machine and convert it into a custom image template. So this is the procedure as follows. So the during the process, when we are installing all the required packages, the advantage of using this is because once we install all the packages that we require, we can convert it into an image, and anytime we are going to create a new virtual machine, we don't have to reinstall those packages, because those packages will be pre-installed. We just have to click on this image and create a new virtual machine. So then our virtual machine will have all these packages pre-installed. So this will reduce the time and the effort for installing all those packages and the versions regarding those packages. So it gets everything pre-installed in one particular package. It makes the task easier for the development and testing any roles. Okay, so it is mainly used in software domain. So let's begin. Initially, let me show you how to create a virtual machine. So this is Microsoft Azure. So I'm going to click on virtual machine. So right now we do not have any virtual machine. I'm going to click on the create button, Azure virtual machine. So yeah, I'll tell you the procedure. So initially my subscription package is Azure for students. My resource group, you can create a new resource group by clicking on new resource group. And my name is Mohammed Afzal. So I've already created a resource group. And my virtual machine name is, let's say, Cloud okay. And it's going to be Ubuntu Server 2424. And then it's going to be an x64 architecture, standardized. You can change the pricing as much you want as per your requirement. So I've chosen 340 per month. So this is the size. You can see all the sizes over here. Depending on your requirement, you can choose your size and the cost. So the cost will vary according to the RAM, data disks, and then the size. Okay, so let's get back to creating a virtual machine. And I'm going to create a username as Azure user. You can change it to just follow these prescriptions and change it accordingly. And then I'm going to use SSH type for conversion for accessing my virtual machine. So Cloud EL 012 is the name. You can change the name as well. So next, here you can talk about the disk if you want the size of the disk you need. So I'll just create a default size of 30 gigabits. Yes, so this disk will also be deleted. If once my virtual machine is deleted, the disk allocated will also be deleted. So in case here you have a subnet or a public IP, you can give your own subnet and public IP. So now right now it's going to create a subnet called VM for image. So as I named it previously. So and then it's a default subnet, and cloud EL image template. It's the name given. So delete public IP and NIC. If you want, you can enable this key. If you want to delete your public IP as well as NIC when you're deleting your virtual machine as well. So next, if you want to enable load balancing also, you can do it below. So I haven't enabled right now because I'm just creating a virtual machine for image template. So if you want, when you're creating a virtual machine, you can enable load balance and scale it up and down. So this is about the OS update. So let it be default image. And about the monitoring, you can check out the health, the diagnostics, and other tools. So this will come later as well. The advanced. So yeah, if you want to install any extensions along with your virtual machine, you can pre-install over here, or you can open your virtual machine and then install all the packages you want to. So this is where you want to put in the custom data inside your virtual machine. You can do this, or you can once you've created a virtual machine, you can access your virtual machine through a local PC using the SSH key, and then you can use these. You can create all the required packages for the virtual machine. So I will do it that way. Next, and now my virtual machine is getting created. Yes, I would like to create a virtual machine. Yes, so now this will download a private key and create resource for my virtual machine. I'm downloading the private key in my D drive and saving it. Yes, it's downloaded, and then now the deployment is still in progress. This may take a while. Once it is deployed, we can access our virtual machine locally and install all the pre-required packages. And once we have done the installation of all the pre-required packages, we can capture it as an image and convert it into an image, and then we can create a number of virtual machines from that particular image. So now my virtual machine installation is completed, or I have done the setup for my virtual machine. You can go to your virtual machine as well. Click on virtual machines. So yes, as you can see, this is my virtual machine and it is up and running. So if you want to access your virtual machine locally, follow the steps which I will be telling. Connect. Go to your virtual machine, click on connect. Once you click on connect, this is the public IP which you can use to access your virtual machine, or you can use native SSH with the public IP. So select I'm using native SSH with the public IP. So you have to copy this command. Once you copied this command, go to your Windows PowerShell. Uh, Windows PowerShell. Yes, so once you're done, go to your Windows PowerShell. Go to the required directory where the file is stored. So the file is stored in my D drive. So let me show you the file. As you can see, cloudelkey.pem is the file name and it's stored in my D drive. Okay, so we'll paste the command over here, and you're supposed to rename the path to the particular file. So you can go to your files. One second. Let me go to my D drive, go to the file, properties, copy the name, and then get back here, and then you can replace the path with the path of your file. You're done. Type yes, and it says permission denied. So now this is a few issue in Windows. So you have to change the permission settings. So I'll tell you how to do that. So go to your this one, and then click on properties. Right click and click on properties, and go to advanced, and then so one second, go to security, and then in security go to advanced. Here go to disable inheritance. So this will change, remove all the inherited permissions for this particular object, and then you know uh, go to add. Once you come to add, select a principal, type your file name, let's say username, then check the names. Yes, so this is the username. Okay, and then give full control. So this, once you're given full control, you will be able to access the file using your Windows partial command. So done. Okay, okay, and that's done. Yes. So now let's go to Windows partial again and type the same command. So yes, now you can see my Azure user, the @cloudy. I can access my file. Let's say sudo apt update. So now this will update my entire Ubuntu system. So this is the first step when you install any Ubuntu system. This process usually takes a while. Let me skip the process for the during the installation. Okay, now my sudo apt update command is complete. Now, in case you want to install any package, let's say I want to install gedit. Let's say gedit is a text editor in Ubuntu. So Usually it's available with Ubuntu, but right now it's not there. So it's not a default package. So I'm going to install it. So sudo, apt install gedit. So this is going to list out all the packages and telling yes, you have to install. It will install all the packages that I require. Let's say I'm doing a compiler, a compiler design package. So suppose when I have to do a compiler design package, I need Lex, I need Yak, and I need gedit. So right now I install gedit. So follow up, I can install Lex and I can install Yak, and then I can create a virtual image out of it. So now this virtual image can be used over all the PCs and in the data room. So suppose if I have to allocate 10 people to create virtual mesh, 10 people to create compilers, so then each one of them does not have to install this package again and again redundantly. So by installing one single time, everyone will be having the same version of the package, and if there is any issue, I can make a change in the image that will reflect in everyone's OS as well. So that's the advantage of using virtual images. So yes, it's done. If you want, let's say, as I mentioned, sudo apt install Flex. So yes, I want to install Flex. And then it will install Flex. Next, I'll install Yak. So this is how it can be done. So I'm running my virtual machine on my local PC. So that's the advantage of using cloud platforms. So done with sudo apt install Yak. So it has searched for Yak, but it didn't find Yak, so it has found Byak. So it has installed Byak instead of Yak. So yeah. So now all the packages are installed and it's up and running. So now I can exit out of my local my virtual machine in my local PC. So this is my local PC. So I'm done with my virtual machine setup. Now let's close the partition. Uh, yes. So now you can. Okay. Give me a second. Yes. So now let's go back to a virtual machine. Let's say go back to virtual machines, click on Cloud EL, and then you can check out your resource as well. How much of resource have you used? How much is remaining? You can monitor, go to the monitoring section, and you can check out how much of events have you used, how much of CPU utilization has been in progress. You can see the CPU has been 8% used, how much of disk utilization has been happened. You can monitor all the events happening on your virtual machine. Okay, so now let's get back to our virtual machine. Virtual missions, click on my virtual mission, and there is this option called capture. So this is how you create an image. So this is how you just capture it like a normal image. So I'm going to create a resource group in my same resource group. I'm going to create, yes, it's going to be available in the gallery, and then I'm going to enable this option. So this is like delete the virtual machine once the image is created. So I don't have to keep my virtual machine. So it is going to consume more space, and it's going to price me for that as well. So select a gallery. I have already created a gallery called Claudial. You can create a new gallery as well as mentioned over here. And then target virtual machine image, let's say cloud. This is what I have created. You can create a new one as well. So my version of my cloud EL, let's say 0.0.1, you can change it into any version. So in case you want to update the version also, you can update it over here in lifetime. Yeah. So let me, give it like probably a month. So yes. Then shallow replication, if you want, you can enable shallow replication as well. And then let's say about zone redundant, yeah, this is, let's say this is different packages can be used, so let it be zone wise. Okay, so Asia specific is default, and then standard HDD, if you want, you can enable this. Let's go to the next. If you want, you can enable tags. You can write your tags and billings as well. Tag your billings and what value you want to give to it. So now, yeah, I want to create, then my virtual, I'm going to create an image under my resource group, and then the region is going to be accessed by Central India. So target, the image name is cloud, and the compute gallery is cloud EL, and the version is 0.01, and then you can see source virtual machine is also cloud EL, and the day lifetime is 15/9/2024. You can change the lifetime as well. Create, yes. So now this will create an image of my virtual machine, and my virtual machine will be deleted. So once I have created an image, I will be able to create another virtual machine using my image rather than using the Ubuntu standard image. So I will show you that as well. So you can see my virtual machine is being stopped. Once my virtual machine is stopped, it will create an image. So this may take a while. So now the deployment is completed. Now let's go and check out how to create a virtual machine using our image. So I'm sorry, create a resource group. So create a virtual machine. Let's say again, go to create. You can access our virtual machine image by seeing virtual machine image versions. As you can see, 0.01 Cloud EL is the name of the virtual machine, and it's being subscription, and then where it's located and all. Okay, now let's go to our virtual machine, create a new virtual machine, Azure virtual machine. Okay, now let's say I'm just keeping the settings as default as it is. I just want to show let me show you the functionality or where to see. Where to see all images, go to see all images once and then shared. Okay, let's say my image. Okay, so this is a shared image which I just created named cloud, and then that's the image which we created right now. Cloud EL, cloud latest 64 gen, and then this is the image space. So you can follow the previously mentioned same steps again. It's just a redundant way. So you just follow the same steps again. You can create a new virtual machine. So like this, you can create a number of virtual machines. So this is the advantage of using, virtual machine image once, creating the image once, and then using that template for different virtual machines which are going to use in the future. So that's the main advantage of using this. Going to reduce the redundancy and the work effort made to sending the mail person and then setting it up again and again, checking out the issues. So once you resolve all the issues in our virtual machine image, send the image to the person, and then the person can create a new operating system from the image. So that image will have all the setup ready. So that's a more advantageous and faster way to access, and reduces these steps towards our and makes it more makes our objective more towards our goal, so we can work towards our goals rather than setting up the environment and wasting resources on setting up the environment. So thank you. Follow up, I'll talk about another functionality of Microsoft Azure. Let's say that's called Azure Redis for caching. Yeah, so I'll continue with that next. Yeah. So what is Redis? Redis is an cache engine. It's a popular cache engine which is used for caching. And then, as I mentioned, okay. So now there Azure provides a Redis cache, functionality. So I'll explain how to use this service provided by Azure. So Azure, let's start with Azure Redis for cache for Redis. Yeah. So let me explain what exactly caches are used for. So right now, if you're having a web application and you want to access the data, like starting a web application and you have some data, so that is something like, let's say, authentication, or authentication data. So for this authentication data, you have to go and fetch it from the database. So each time you want to authenticate somebody, you want to fetch it from the database. That is going to take a long time. So rather than fetching it from the database, you can cache the data and store it in the cache memory. So with this, you can retrieve it faster. So this makes the retrieval faster. It makes your application more responsive, and it like increases the speed of your application. So the customers will be more attracted towards a faster working application. So that's the main advantage of using cache. And Redis is a popular cache engine which is provided. So Azure has a service towards Redis cache. So let me explain how to create a Redis cache. So you go, initially you search for cache for Redis, then let's say create Redis cache. Okay. So the next step. So that's my plan again, and my resource group, let's say Muhammad Afzal, and then the DNS name. So this should be unique. So whatever is your, your web application DNS, you can use that. So let's say my DNS is going to be Cloud EL. See, it says name contains only hyphen, letters, etc. So yes, so now this is working and it's available for free. So and then yeah, Central India, you can change your location as per your current location, and then your cache, you can change your plan regarding the cache to up to premium 99% availability, standard up to 99% availability, basic plan. So based on your plan, your size will vary. So the cache size also can be varied from 250 MB to GBs. So usually we have very little memory for cache because caches are costlier. So let's go towards networking. You can use public endpoint or private endpoint. So if you use a public endpoint, you can access it via a public network. You can use your own public IP and access it. So let's go to the next step. Here we enable any TLS port or something. And then access key authentication. If you want, you can enable it as well. So and yeah, in case you want to add any Redis cache value, so usually the Redis cache it's an in-memory cache, and it's like key. It stores the value in the form of key value pair. So it's like a dictionary. It stores as key value pair. So in case you want to add anything in beforehand, you can add it to your Redis cache. So yeah, my DNS name is CloudEL, and then the subscription is your subscription and your Redis cache. Yeah. So now let's create a Redis cache. So this may take a while. Once my Redis cache is created, let me tell you how to monitor a Redis cache, and how to change the plan, how to upgrade a Redis cache, and how to access it. So this may take a while. Yes. So now my let's say the Redis cache has been deployed. So let's go to the resources and check out our Redis cache, Azure cache for Redis. As you can see, this is my cache that is up and running. As you can see, okay, let's say activity log. Here you can track all the activities that have been, you can track all the activities that are happening on your cache memory, access control. So this will tell you about whom to give the resource to. You can assign the resource to some people as well. You can assign your resources to, like your developers. You can give them keys as well. So this is the access control. You can you can assign the resource to a particular person, and the particular person can assign these resources. Let's say the keys, they can access the keys, and they can take control over the keys. Let's say you can be a super manager over the other managers. And then let's say about authentication is about what is the authentication you are going to give to the person. Okay, then let me talk about firewall. So firewall is like you're going to write the starting IP address and the ending IP address from which to whom you're going to give access to your particular uh, let's say your particular cache memory. Okay, in case we have a virtual network, we need to access premium plan for virtual network. So in case we have a virtual network, we can set up this cache memory for our virtual network itself using the premium tier plan. So right now I'm using standard plan. And the authentication, as I mentioned, you can give keys to give access to of the keys to different developers for using them. You can scale your you can scale your cache memory from low to high based on the plans as well. So but then the cache memory can be scaled only from like across you can scale it up within basic plan or within standard or premium, or you can go from basic to standard or from standard to premium, but you cannot scale it down. So to scale it down, we have to delete a resource and again reallocate a resource. Only then we can scale it down. So that is about accessing and monitoring. So in case you want to monitor your this one, you can, in case you want to monitor the cache memory, how much of cache is being used, how much of CPU is being shared, how much of used memory, you can access all the data over here. So you want to automate, you can automate as well. Like rather than assigning, a separate IP address, let's say for, as I mentioned, for firewall and authentication, you need to assign the IP address. So rather than giving the IP address, you can, like manually giving the IP address, you can automate it using the automation. So this is where you get the keys. Okay, so the primary key, the secondary key, and the this one. So you can just copy the keys, and you can give this keys to your developers. They will be accessing the endpoints from these keys, and utilizing the cache memory. So this is all about Azure Cache for Redis. So the main functionality, it enhances the speed of accessing your web application, and it reduces the risk of security threats. You can have SSH commands over it, so it increases the security over your application, and it increases the speed as well. So with the help of by increasing speed, you can increase your application's response. So increasing your application response makes it more, more interactive and more dependable for customers. So that's the main advantage of using Azure Cache for Redis. Hello everyone. Continuing the services provided by Microsoft Azure, I'll talk about another service called as, Azure Active Directory. So now this service is an identity as a service provided by Microsoft Azure. So let me talk about this. Is usually used for authentication, access management, access control towards tools and different environments and setups. So let's talk about how the initial approach works and how the Microsoft Azure Active Database Directory works. So the classical approach for authentication is like this. So initially a client makes a request, you sends the username and password to the server. The server goes to the database and fetches the credentials and verifies the credentials. Once the credentials are verified, it gives the result. So the challenges which we will face using this method, the implementation security issue. So it takes time to go to the server, and the server fetching the data from the database, and validating and giving back the result. So, and there's another issue, it's about security management during while fetching the data from the database. So during this time, hackers can get into the system. So this is one of the security issue of normal authenticating service. So there's another problem faced by a normal authenticating service. That is, like, you have different services. Suppose, let's say, you have a virtual machine service, you have SQL database service, you have web service. So now each of these service, the user should remember multiple credentials and passwords to keep them secure. So this is the it increases the problems for the user as well as the server side, because they have to maintain a separate database to record the information related to each of these. Let's say virtual machine has to have a separate database for a username and password, and then SQL has to have a separate database. So now this is going to create redundancy, and for a single user you need to create multiple credentials. So this makes it more complex. So let me talk about how Azure does this. So Azure Active Directory does this. So initially, user sends his username and password to the Azure directory, and then the Azure directory sends a token to the client. Follow up, the client will give this token to the server to access the server. And then the server will send this token to Azure directory and fetch some details from the Azure directory, and then it will verify the token and the data sent by Azure directory. Once the data is verified, the server will give the request or the access to the content to the client. So let me show you a demo of how it works. Let's say you're supposed to go here, Azure Active Directory. So yeah, go to Azure Active Directory. It's not, internet issue. 1 second. So we type over here Azure Active Directory, and you can click on this. Once you click on this, you will be able to access Azure Active Directory. So this is the default directory given to me. So as you can see, okay, there is a connection error. 1 second. Yes, so now you can see this is my Azure Active Directory folder. So now let me go and explain the features related to this. So you can create new users. There's this user section where you can create a new user and give access to that user. Let's say I want to create a new user. I can create a new user. Let's say he's participating in principal name. Then I can change the the Gmail ID for that. and what should be the displayed name for it, and what should be the password. So this is an auto-generated password. Instead of keeping an auto-generated password, we can enter the password. We can keep a strong password by ourselves. So using which we can create users. And once the users are created, we can pass on this Gmail ID or this mail ID to the particular user, and our user can access to the resource which we are allocating as an Azure directory. So from Azure Active Directory, we are allocating we are creating a new user, and the new user's access ID and etc. And the new user can access his or her resources using this particular credentials. So that is the controlling and management of resources. So this is the main use of Azure Active Directory. So this is about users section. Let me talk about, okay. And then you can create new groups as well. So you can create new groups. Let's say go to click on create new group, and what type of group you want, either for security or Microsoft 365, and then what your group has to be, the task done by your group, and then you can name your group. Your naming should be, it should be a DNS name, or let's say it should be an unique name. And then if you want to add any owners to your group, you can add. Suppose if you have members, let's say I have a user called Bonasti, I can add the user. If I want to add any members also, I can add to this. Let's say these are all the members. So if I want to add any of them, I can add to these services. That's all. So that is about adding members to the group and adding, owners to the group. So this is again giving access to the owners. So owners will be assigned a group, and the owners can manage the group and manage the activities in the group. And members will the owners can also assign members to the group. Once a group is created, a owner can assign members to the group as well, and they can manage the group. And then as a owner of the owners, we can assign owners and members of the group as well. So you can visit through the roles and administration. So you can go and check out. So right now I haven't assigned any role to any group, so you can check out the roles assigned to each and every individual groups and each and every user. So that is you can manage the roles over here. This is usually used for role assignment management. And then the devices in which you want to access the resource. So you can and you can keep a track of the total number of devices the resource has been utilized, and how much of the resource has been utilized can also be tracked down. What type of OS system is being used to access our resources, and when was it accessed, and who has access, this can also be can be monitored. So one second. Yes, these are some of the features related to Amazon's Active Directory. So you can create new user, you can create new groups, you can manage groups, you can give access to the groups, you can assign roles to different groups. So let's say about access management. Let's continue related to access management, and let me explain about how access management works. So this is about access. This is all about access management. Suppose let's say you're a client and your name is Amy. One second, yeah, I'm a client and my name is Amy, and I want to write something in this SQL virtual machine that was created. So this writing authentication or credential should be given by the current owner. Let's say I am the owner and I have to go to SQL gateway. Let's say my virtual machine name is SQL gateway. I have to go to access control in it, and then I have to assign roles to the person, and I have to add a role. Let's say owner, member, user. So I can add different roles to them, and then every role will be assigned only a particular part of it, or let's say only a particular part of the functionality. So the owner will be assigned the entire functionality. That is how the system works. So you assign a role, and then to whom you want to assign the role. Let's say Amy Johnson is the name, and then you assign a role. And then once a role is assigned, you will define the scope in which it can be accessed. So that will be given to the Azure from the Azure Active Directory. It will be given, your role scale will be defined in the Azure Active Directory. As you can see, action, write, delete, and read. So the owner role, what are the roles the owner can do, and which are the objects that say Amy is an object, so something like that. If you have created another role, let's say another client wants to access it. Let's say another owner, I'm adding another owner called John. Then John, there'll be another object called John which will be assigned to the role, which will be assigned the role. And then you create an Azure virtual machine over it, and then the client, then you can check. So once a client gives a request, then it will be verified, and then Amy can be able to modify and make changes towards access management. So this is how Azure Active Directory is used for access management. So these are a few of the functionalities related to access management using Azure Active Directory. So Active Directory enhances the security, is one of the main advantage, and you can use, instead of using it gives multi-factor authentication, and then it use single sign-in. So it's use SSO, so a single sign-in. So you have to sign, you just need to remember one credential, and one credential, and you can use it for all of the functionality. And Azure Active Directory will store this, so there will be no redundant data loss, and it will be secure. So you don't have to secure different systems. You can keep one secure system which will be used, and the architecture is also defined. So that's it about Azure Active Directory. Thank you.